Today, we're breaking down something every working adult gets, but almost no one explains your pay stub. If you've ever looked at your paycheck and thought, why is this number smaller than I expected? You're in the right place. By the end of this lesson, you'll know exactly what each section means, where your money is going, and how to catch mistakes before they cost you. Let's get into it. When you get your first paycheck, it's really common to feel a little shocked. You see the number you expected and then the number you actually got, and they aren't the same. And you're not imagining it. Your paycheck is smaller than the math you did in your head. But here's the part no one explains. Your pay stub tells you exactly why. Taxes, deductions, benefits, and contributions, they all come out before your money hits your bank account. So this lesson is about taking the mystery out of that difference. So you're not confused, you're informed. Once you understand what's being taken out and why, your paycheck stops feeling disappointing and starts making sense. When you look at your pay stub, taxes are usually the first thing that make your paycheck smaller than you expected. And it's easy to feel frustrated when you see money coming out that you never actually get to touch. But here's the breakdown. Federal income tax is based on the W-4 you filled out when you started your job. That form tells your employer how much to withhold so you don't owe a huge bill at tax time. State and local taxes depend on where you live, and not every state has them. You don't have to memorize the formulas or percentages. What matters is understanding that these taxes are required by law, and they're meant to keep you from getting hit with a surprise later. So instead of thinking, why are they taking my money? Think, okay, this is the part that keeps me from owing thousands in April. Once you understand the purpose behind each tax, it feels a lot less confusing and a lot more predictable. All right, let's talk about the two taxes almost nobody warns you about before your first job. FICA, or FICA. It's made up of two parts, Social Security and Medicare, and they come out of every paycheck, no matter where you work or how much you make. Here's the part that surprises most people. These aren't based on your W-4, and you can't adjust them or opt out. They're automatic. Social Security takes a percentage, Medicare takes a smaller percentage, and together they show up as a chunk missing from your paycheck that no one prepared you for. But here's the why. These programs are designed to support people later in life or when they can't work. So even though it feels like money disappearing, it's actually part of the system you'll benefit from down the road. The key takeaway is this. If your paycheck feels smaller than you expected, FICA is almost always part of the reason. And now you know exactly what it is and why it's there. When you look at your pay stub, the section titled Deductions is where you'll see the money that comes out of your paycheck for things you've chosen or agreed to. These aren't taxes. These are the items you signed up for during your onboarding process, like health insurance, dental vision, retirement contributions, or things like FSA or HSA. And here's what's important. Deductions will always make your paycheck look smaller, but many of them also reduce your taxable income. So even though it feels like money leaving your check, some of these choices actually save you money in the long run. The key is making sure everything listed here matches what you enrolled in. If you see a deduction you don't recognize or an amount that doesn't look right, that's your signal to check in with your HR. You should always know exactly what you're paying for and why. Pay stubs love abbreviations. And if you've ever looked at yours and thought, okay, what does any of this mean? You're not alone. This section is what I call alphabet soup. You'll see things like FWT or SWT or OASDI or YTD, and every company uses their own mix of codes. And here's the good news. Once you learn the common ones, the whole pay stub starts to make sense. FWT usually means federal withholding tax. SWT is state withholding tax. The OASDI is Social Security. YTD means year to date. And if your company uses codes you don't recognize, that's not a sign you're doing something wrong. It's a sign to ask for HR for their abbreviation key. You're not supposed to magically know these. This slide is all about giving you the confidence to look at these letters and say, okay, I get what's happening here. Before we go any further, I want you to know something. Most people don't learn until they've been working for years. Payroll errors are real, and they happen more often than you might expect. This slide isn't about what to check, it's about why checking matters. Sometimes hours don't get logged correctly, sometimes deductions don't update when you make changes, sometimes benefits start late or stop early, and sometimes the system just glitches. The point is this, your pay stub is the only place where you can see whether everything processed the way it was supposed to. You don't have to memorize anything, you just need to be aware that mistakes can happen and your pay stub is the first line of protection. Now that you understand why checking your pay stub matters, here's your first real assignment, and it's simple. When your next paycheck comes in, open your pay stub and walk through it with fresh eyes. Look at your hours, look at your rate, look at your deductions, and look at your take-home pay. This isn't about catching the system doing something wrong. It's about building a habit that keeps you in control of your money. And if something doesn't look right, speak up. You're not being difficult. You're advocating for the income you've earned. This homework is about confidence. The more familiar you are with your pay stub, the less intimidating it will feel. All right, now that you've seen how to walk through your pay stub step by step, let's bring it home. This is one of those adulting skills that feels confusing until someone finally breaks it down for you. But now you know how to read your pay stub, what each section means, and how to make sure your money is showing up the way it should. You don't have to get everything perfect right away. Just take it one step at a time, and you're already doing that by being here. So the next time you get paid, take a breath, open your pay stub, and walk through what you've learned today. You've got this. Before we wrap up, just a quick reminder, this lesson is for general educational purposes only. It's not legal, financial, or tax advice. For anything specific to your situation, make sure you talk to a licensed professional. And if you want more micro lessons like making adulting feel a whole lot easier, you can always find me at sunnivibes.com right here inside the Life Launch series. Thanks.